goes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dominique Hope Robinson. I am with the United States Census Bureau. I am a recruiting assistant, and I am here to answer any questions that you may have and give you some information about the decennial. So this year is the decennial. So every 10 years, the decennial happens. The last one was in 2010, of course, and now we're in 2020. Everyone will be receiving an invitation to respond to the survey second week of March. Those mailings will go out. You'll get an invitation to respond to that survey. And yay, this is the first year that you're able to respond online. With that being said, we're thinking that we'll have a great response rate. It gives people the opportunity to respond on the go via their iPads, computers, cell phone. But you also still will have the option to respond to your survey. You can request the survey. So you can call in and say, hey, I still would like to receive a paper copy of the survey, and they'll mail one out to you. Or you can call in and you can actually have your answers, your responses recorded via phone. So that's what's going on with the survey. As far as recruiting, we are still recruiting for positions with the United States Census Bureau. We have several positions that we are hiring for, and we are currently still hiring for those positions. So if anyone is interested in applying with a position with the United States Census Bureau, you can simply go online to 2020census.gov/jobs. It will ask you, you do need an email. You do need an email address to apply. If you do not have an email address, you can always create a free email at Yahoo, Gmail, AOL, whatever your preference may be. You can even use your iCloud email address if you are an Apple user to create your profile. Once you create your profile, it will send you a link to your email. That link is verifying that you are you and that you have actually created this profile. Once you click the link, it will take you to the application. You then will be able to complete your application online. We are in the selection process now. We are currently selecting candidates to work several different positions with the United States Census Bureau. Myself, I started back in August as an address canvasser. And my job was actually to go out into the communities and verify addresses, and that's what I did. So I did that operation. I loved it. I had my supervisor who was awesome. She says, hey, I want to refer you to the next operation as a recruiting assistant. You'll go out into the community. You'll talk about jobs and employment opportunities with the United States Census Bureau. I just got back from a deployment from Iowa, so I'm happy to be home. I was there for 2 weeks helping out the state of Iowa and the county of Story, helping them to recruit some applicants there. So now I'm back home, and we are, back into the mix of things here. So if you guys have any questions about anything, please feel free to ask. If there's anything that you want to know, anything that I may have missed, any questions that you may have. So I'll just open up the floor for.
Can you tell us why it's important to have the census, why we need to be involved?
It's very important. The census gives a count of the population. So Title 13 mandates every 10 years that everyone that lives on U.S. soil be counted, including the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. This is how the federal government, there's over $675 billion that has to be allocated across the United States of America. And this is how we proportion that amount of money to different states based upon the population. So based upon how many people live in Illinois, this is how we get our congressional seats, and this is how we get federal money for our hospitals, schools, roads, different government programs and assistance that we use. So it's very important that you respond to the census. This is how we get an accurate count of how much money that we need in our state. Yes?
There's typically one census person that will be taking the census that comes up to the door, or is it more than one person?
You may have a different enumerator that comes to your door. It's the only time that an enumerator will actually, is that what you're asking? Yeah. When you don't respond. So what happens is once you get that invitation to come out and get the invitation in the mail to actually respond to your survey, when you do not respond is when you have an enumerator come to your door, what we call a census taker. Will you have the same person come? Maybe, maybe not. It just depends on what work, because the person who originally came may have another area that they're working, or they may not be working that day. So it just depends. You may have the same person come to your home, or you may have a different person. But I do want to advise everyone in the room that the person that comes to your door that you want to identify with their ID. They will have an ID, a picture ID. And I know this is a time that we want to be safe, we want to be careful, we want to make sure that we are talking to someone that is actually with the United States Census Bureau, and that person is a federal worker that we're talking to and giving our information to. So it's very important, and you have every right to ask for their identification. They should have an ID with their picture and their name, and it will also have, I don't know if you guys can see, it's like a SIM card. It looks like a little SIM card that like goes in your cell phone. So this is their identification. So you'll know that that person is with the United States Census Bureau. If they do not have an ID, do not open your door. So they knock, ring the doorbell. Some people have rings or video doorbells. You can simply ask them, hey, can you put your ID to the doorbell, or can you put your ID so I can identify you and see who you are?
Are you, I don't know if you covered this already, Dominique, but what kind of information will you be asked, will be asked of the public?
So on the invitation, so you'll get an invitation to respond to your survey. I did have a copy of the survey. It is in my bag, and I can pull that out so you guys can see. It's also a copy of the questions that are online. There's 10 questions on the survey that'll be asked. Those 10 questions ask about head of household, and then it asks about the next person that lives in the household, as far as their date of birth, things like that. So those are the type of questions that are on the survey. There's only 10 questions. And those 10 questions, you can respond online to those 10 questions that's on the survey. And if you want to request a paper copy of the survey, it's the same 10 questions. If you want to request a particular language, you can do that as well. You can go online, actually, if you speak a different language, and it'll give you that language that you can answer your survey in that language.
No financial information?
To go off the top of my head, no. But I do have a copy of it if anyone wants to see a copy of the survey and what questions that are on the survey. I can pull that out afterwards, and you guys can view that. You can also find that online at the Census Bureau's website as well. Any more questions? Anybody?
Once you apply, when do you finally hear something?
So what happens is you put your application in, and my experience, I put my application in on a Wednesday, and they were calling me on a Friday. 2 days later, I completely forgot I had did the application, because I was like, who's calling? But right now we have such a high volume of applicants that we're going through a whole lot of numbers, so the response time may not be that quick. But once you put your application in, you will get an email that gives you updates throughout. You put your application in, we are here in the process, we are there in the process. So you just check your email for different status updates, because we do send updates to the email just to give you an idea of where we are and what to expect next.
Anybody else have a question that you came from for? You wanted to learn about the census?
Are there any jobs at the census that don't require you to go door to door?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we have an ACO, which is the Area Census Office. The RCC, which is the Regional Census Office, has several different positions. So what happens is every 10 years when the decennial comes, there's a whole operation that has to be created, from HR to IT people, and definitely IT now, because this is the first year that you can respond to your survey online. Every enumerator will have a device. So there is no paper, there is no carrying a bunch of paper going door to door, but we have clerks, we have office operations supervisors, we have IT clerks, IT managers. So there are people that actually work in an office every day on different shifts. So I'm considered a field worker because I don't report to the office every day. I'm out with the community and speaking to different organizations and doing things like that. But there are positions that are in the office where you go to the office every day and you have a schedule.
Is there a deadline for applying for the jobs?
We don't know the deadline. We don't know what date that the RCC will say recruiting is done and recruiting has ended. But as of today's date, we are still hiring. We are still in the process of selecting, and you can still put in an application as of today's date. Yes.
What's the average time commitment?
So with the enumerator and field position, it asks you on the application. It does not give you minimum amount of hours that you can put in. You create your own schedule. You work your own flexibility. You have an opportunity to work 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sunday to Sunday. So that's 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. You may decide that you only want to work on Sundays for 3 hours. So that's what you'll put in as far as your availability. So pretty much you'll get a schedule, and it will say that the week starting of that Sunday to the next Sunday. And so you would put in Sunday, not available. So it will black out the schedule because you're not available. Monday, you may put that you're available from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And so then you will get work according to what you put in. And then after 6 p.m., the great thing with the Census Bureau is that we do pay a night differential. After 6 p.m., it is a 50-cent increase. On Sundays, it is premium pay, so you get your hourly rate and an additional 25% of your hourly rate. So it's a great opportunity to earn some supplemental income, and it's a great way to serve your community, get the word out, explain to others why this is so vital, why this is so important. So it's just an awesome opportunity. So if you know anyone else that's interested, we talk about, and you hear on the news about an accurate count. The only way that we can do that is for us, our own people in our own communities, to do the work. That's how we get the accurate count. That's how we get the numbers.
Did you go
For the timeline of when the census, we start counting, when they'll get something in the mail, did we already go over that?
We talked about, so Census Day is April 1st.
April 1st?
April 1st
That's
is,
not a joke, right?
no, it's also April Fool's Day, but it's also Census Day. Yeah, Census Day is April 1st. You will get your invitation sometime second week in March. So the surveys will be coming shortly. So today is the 4th. So the survey, so be looking out in the mail because you'll be getting your invitation to respond to the survey. Second week of March, every household will get one. And you'll get time to respond. If you don't respond, they'll send you a friendly reminder. Hey, we sent you an invitation. Haven't heard anything yet. Okay, a little more time goes by. Hello, we sent an invitation because we don't know that, Janine lives at 12501 70th. We don't know who lives at that address. All we know is that it's a residence and that it's a residence where someone lives, but we don't know who lives there. So all we know is that this address, we didn't get a response back from this particular address. And so you'll get another reminder. Hello, we sent something out, you still haven't responded. So after the third one is when you'll get an enumerator that comes knocking on the door. And they'll have a device, they'll have an ID, they'll have a census bag, and they'll ask you to complete the survey with them. You don't have to, and they may just give you a friendly reminder and say, hey, well, I'm here, if you need any assistance, but you can go online and still do it yourself. But while I'm here, do you want to complete it with me while I'm here? So you'll have that option. But if you do it, first time that you get the invitation, you'll never see anybody. You'll never get an enumerator that comes to your door because you've completed the survey.
So do you have something for the people
Who are technology challenged?
Yeah, so
Paper.
you can, yes. So once you get that invitation to respond, so this is the first year that you have the option to go online, but you don't have to. You still have the option of phoning in your responses, and you have the option of requesting a paper copy, filling in the paper copy, and returning it by mail. So you still have those two other options. You just have a third option as well. So it's not eliminated. You still have those three options. So for the person that is not technical savvy or who's not comfortable putting the information online, you can call in or you can request a paper copy. Any more questions?
how will people Hold on, say that again.
How about people that have second residence, like in another state or wherever?
So,
What happened with them?
so what happened? So we want to know your data, your residence as of April 1st. Where do you live? Where are you residing April 1st of 2020?
If they send a thing to your second residence, let's say I have a Florida residence, will they send a second one there? Or if I'm in Florida and then I come back home,
Primary.
okay, so what will happen? Will somebody come knocking on the door in Florida?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably, but I mean, if you're not there, they're not going to get, they're not going to get a response if you're not there. But they ask, about your primary residence, and that's what they want to know. Where's your primary residence at? Not about your vacation home, or if you have a second home that you go to a couple months out of the year. Where do you live the majority of the time? And what's your residence? Where do you live as of April 1st of 2020?
That kind of applies to college students as well. If they're, if I had a child who's up in Wisconsin on April 1st, they would be counted in Wisconsin? Okay.
Yes, and that has been a big question. Also, I didn't even pull those out because I didn't think we needed them, but I do have some of those in my bag of how to count college students, because we were down actually in Ames, Iowa, on the campus of Iowa State, and that's an excellent question. So they want to know April 1st, 2020, if that student is living in the dorms, they're to be counted in their dormitory. Now, if they're back home, then they're counted at home. But we don't want to double count, so that's why they want to know what's your primary residence, where are you residing as of April 1st, 2020.
I got the turnover.
The questions might you folks have about the census itself? We can pick Dominique's brain, really, she's the expert here.
How will this help channel money to the local community?
How does it help channel? How does the census information help channel? Okay.
Oh, well, the decennial, what happens every 10 years is that everyone on U.S. soil needs to be counted because this is how we allocate federal funds. So the libraries, your schools, your hospitals. So it's very important that this happens. If we have an undercount, then you don't have enough money to cover your actual population. So what happens is that you fall into a deficit. If you only have statistically speaking 20,000 people that responded, but you actually have 32,000 people, then we're missing some folks. So, and those same folks are utilizing these resources. They didn't respond to the survey, but if they bust their head, I bet you they at Palos Hospital.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it. So it's very important. It's very important because we're working with funding for 20,000, but we actually got 32,000 people. So it can cause a problem. So that it causes the economy to be off. It causes a lack of funding. So it's very important that we get an accurate count so we can have the resources that we need in our communities.
Doesn't it also determine like the representatives in Congress and?
Yes, it does. It does. So depending on the population size, depends on the congressional seats in Congress. So the bigger the state, the bigger the population, the more seats that are allocated to that state. Yes. Great questions, guys. Great questions. If there's not any more questions that you can think of right now at the moment, it's okay.
So will there be training sessions
For
for the people who are accepted as census takers?
Of course, yes. So you'll have paid training. You'll have paid training.
Actually, you could train here at the library. We've got rooms reserved in May. Yeah.
Yes. So it'll be awesome. It's great. You'll get paid training. They'll teach you everything that you need to know. They'll give you what you need to do your job or whatever position that you've been selected for. So this is my iPad. So this is what I do. What I need to do my work on. The numerators, they're going to have iPhones. So I'm like, I didn't get an iPhone. But hey, so they're going to have iPhones and they're going to be able to canvass the community and enumerate the communities that they're working in with their device. If you have any issues with your device, we have a whole IT department, IT manager, IT clerks that can help you. You know, so if you're not computer savvy, you know, do not let, you know, the computer scare you. It's, you know, it's just a machine, it's just a computer. You can't break it, you know, we can always help you, assist you if you have any questions about it. You know, you can call in or you can go to your ACO, take the device in, and they'll walk you through it, they'll get you through it. But this is the way that it's done. I know, unfortunately, we have some folks that have done census work in the past, and they're like, I've never seen that thing before. You know, when I did it, it was paper, you know, and we had to, and I was just like, thank God I didn't do it, you know. So, you know, but, you know, at 35, it's like, I remember now when I'm in the high schools and I'm talking to the kids, and they're looking at me like, what are you talking about? And then I have to think back, like, I don't even remember what I was doing in 2010, you know. And it was like, it wasn't, at 25, it wasn't that noticeable, you know, because as time goes on and you learn about what's going on, and you learn about what's going on in your community, it becomes vital, it becomes essential. So just like when we're at Shepherd or Richards High School and we're talking to the kids, I think that is very important for technology because that's what they do, you know, that's what they know. And so they're interested, you know, they're like, awesome, cool, so I can do this on this device and I can do what I need to do. So, you know, it's great, you know, like I said, so don't let that, you know, be a scare for you or, you know, prevent you from wanting to apply. Please don't let that prevent you. We have an awesome team, we have a great team of people, and it's an awesome opportunity, so.
Does the technology make it a little more accurate? And I'm going to go back that I do genealogy and I've got a lot of old census. And
Yeah.
one of my relatives was actually under a different last name. And so I figured it out by their first names and where they lived, but their last name was different and it was just a discovery I made. So how do you make sure everything's accurately spelled? Is that up to...
Awesome question. I mean, in my own personal thought, I think so. I think that the technology and the innovation would make for an easier count because now that way we can spread information across multitudes. When you're doing by paper, it's not as easy. You know, you're taking in a bunch of papers to an office. What if you lost a couple along the way? You know, you don't even know that you lost a couple along the way. So with the electronic device, you know, you have it, you know, like they say in the cloud, or if something went wrong on the internet, you know, there's a way to, you know, search the IP addresses and get things back more efficiently. So, I mean, I would say yes. And other people may have a different opinion or a different outlook on it, but my opinion would be yes. And that's just my personal opinion.
Do you know where the local office will be?
So we have the closest ACO to Palos would be Evergreen Park. There's an ACO in Matson as well, so between the two, but I think the closest to Palos would be Evergreen Park.
When was the first census?
The first census was in 1870. 1870, I believe. But I'll look that up and get some literature. I believe it was 1870 was the first, because this is our 34th decennial. Math was not my strong point. So this is the 34th. We're in 2020. And you go back. So 1870, right? Yeah.
And why did they decide on every 10 years? Why did they decide on every 10 years?
Yeah, the Constitution mandated it. So Congress came up with that way before I was even thought of. Yeah. So they came up with that, you know, that this would be done every 10 years, that the population would have a count every 10 years. So that's why it's called the decennial. Decennial means every 10 years.
What does the Census Bureau do about immigration? Illegal, for one.
Nothing.
Do you still count them?
Nothing that okay. Everyone that lives on U.S. soil is to be counted.
Okay.
we don't get into naturalization, citizens, everyone that's on U.S. soil is to be counted.
So you're counting bodies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So one of the questions is not, are you a US citizen?
No.
No, okay.
Mhm.
Anybody else have any questions? All right. Thank you, Dominique. You have some information here on the
Yes,
table?
yes. I do have some information. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the kindness, the friendliness. You are welcome.
6:30 tonight.
I'll be back at 6:30 p.m. tonight. If you think of any more questions and you want to come on back this
The friends
evening.
who didn't come, your neighbors who didn't get to make it today because they're
Yeah.
really busy, tell them to come back at 6:30 so they can get here and know that they need to get the information they have to make this happen.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it. We do have some things up here at the census table if you guys want some information. We have some folders, some fans. I have a couple of pens that we have. We'll be getting more stuff in, but please feel free to take whatever you guys would like to have. We have some literature that has some questions that you that I may have missed, important ways to serve your community. We have frequently asked questions here. These focus more so on employment opportunities and things like that. And then we have these here about why we ask what we ask. This is an awesome piece of literature that can explain some of your questions in more detail. So if anyone wants one, please feel free to come up and get, any literature that you may want to take home with you and share with your neighbors or family members as well.
Okay, great.
Thank you.